The full episode is now available on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Please see the link in the description for more details.
Preston, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about, because me and Phil covered it on the episode 8 podcast, George's blog post. And I'm sure you have some thoughts on the blog post because, yeah, me and Phil already covered it. George wanted 13 episodes, but he was afraid that people would find it too boring. He feels as though in order to successfully tell the entire Dance of the Dragons, we need 4 seasons. I thought 3 seasons. First season is set up. Second season ends with, I would say, Rhaenyra triumphant. And then third season ends with the conclusion of the Dance of Dragon War. And I think that's it. But I guess if they're gonna do 4th season, Hour of the Wolf, I guess.
But it would have to be even more than. Hour of the Wolf is actually only a week. But you've got of time, so you've got to have a little more than even Hour of the Wolf. But
sad regency of
Aegon the Third and his downfall and ending with Viserys II, or something. The death of the dragons, which might be why Ryan Condal asked George for a draft of Fire and Blood Part 2. Yeah, I think his statement, if the show hadn't begun and he was like, we need 4 seasons, I would have been like, yeah, we need 4 seasons. Because we talked about how we've said this over and over again, we're broken records, that this should have been 2 seasons. It's 2 seasons worth of stuff that they've crammed into 1 season. So had I done it, it would have been, I would have done young cast, first season, old cast second season, having the dance be the ending, like the fight over Storm's End, and then I'd have 3rd and 4th seasons be the dance.
But you do that, and then you run the risk of doing what Rings of Power did, where the first season is just fucking setup, like Rings of Power was just setups for the ultimately the making of the rings, which
but there's so much stuff you could do because you've got the Stepstone Wars and everything that you have so much action that you can do that it can still feel exciting. It's the Rings of Power. They had a big battle, and it was exciting. They had that. The last episode of Rings of Power was not as boring as everything else, but because so much happened in that last episode. There was definitely enough stuff to fill up a full season with the first 5 episodes, and then change actors for the second, and then you could have 2 seasons of the Dance of the Dragons, and then if you wanted a 5th season, then we can do the aftermath with Hour of the Wolf and Aegon the Third. But yeah, for him to say now 4 seasons, because to tell the story of the Dance of the Dragons, I couldn't imagine 3 seasons of battles. I just couldn't imagine that. I don't know. I guess Rhaenyra triumphant, and you can extend that out and extend out Daemon and Nettles and Aemon's time at Harrenhal and the 2 battles of Tumbleton, and you could do an entire episode, I suppose, of the dragon seeds claiming the dragons and stuff like this. There's a lot of things that you can just choose a moment and do an entire episode of, I suppose. So you can do it. You can stretch out the war to 3 seasons, which now I think they're going to do that. They're it's a hit. We got to keep this thing on the air forever now. Slow this things down. So I guarantee what we're going to see at the end of the series is season 1 was way too fast, and then everything is going to get a little slow. I guarantee that's going to happen.
A little slower, but with more battles and with more characters. So I'm assuming season 2 is when we'll get dragon seeds. That has to be season 2.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think I'm trying to remember when exactly the dragon seeds happened, but yeah, it's gonna happen
because we had so hold on, let me get to I did this with Phil and I so fucking forgot, but I have the books here on PDF, so I can just tell you real quick. So I know that the most of season 1 was The Dying of the Dragons, the Blacks and the Greens. That was most of season 1, House of the Dragon. And then The Dying of the Dragons, A Son for a Son, the first 1/3 of Son for a Son will be these next 2 episodes.
Yeah, like the Rogue Prince was the first 8 episodes. We finished the Rogue Prince with Viserys dying.
With some
crazy,
Dying of the Dragons, the Blacks and the Greens, and then the first 1/3 of the first thing that happens in a Son for a Son is Aegon had been proclaimed king in the Dragon Pit. Rhaenyra on Dragonstone. All efforts to reconcile have failed. The Dance of Dragons now begins.
They can cram these things. They move around the timeline a bit, so. I don't know. I guess in episode 1 or episode 2 of second season, they're probably going to pull in the dragon seeds. Man, you think it's going to be a year and a half, just a year and a half in between seasons?
I think we're probably going to get season 2 in 2024. I would hope. I hope they don't do three years. God, that'd be way too long. I think HBO needs winners, and I think they need them like very quickly. And House of the Dragon is a winner. It was a surprise success because I'm sure they were very anxious about the legacy of Thrones and how season 8 fucked that up. But no, House of the Dragon, they need this back in force ASAP. And I think they're going to take the year off the film, which is it's different because we normally got a new Game of Thrones season every year, but
right until the end. Yeah.
So they took a break for season 8.
Where I think they went like year and a half or something, or a year. So they start stretching to like a year and a month and a year and 2 months and stuff like that.
So I think 2024 is when we get House of the Dragon season 2 and maybe Rings of Power 2024. I would argue 2024. Because we're in 2022 right now. So 2023, everybody takes a break. And then
2023. You're saying 2023 is going to be a nice, relaxing year?
I think, unfortunately, it's going to be a very slow year.
We don't have that much going on. Well, there's always going to be Marvel and Star Wars.
Of course, but 2023 would be a perfect year, a very slow year to release Winds of Winter. Just saying. George, get on it.
God, dude, sweet summer child. Like, what do you think? Like, sweet summer child. Like, you think this is suddenly gonna come out of nowhere? I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but come on. Come on.
By the way, what else did you see in the blog post that you want to discuss? I'm sure there was a couple of things.
Let me think. Not too much. Hold on a second. Let me bring it up again because I don't remember that much. He praises Patty. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to joke about that because I think that's like it says winter's not coming. George R. Martin is. Yeah, you're right. Rise of the Dragon. Okay, so this is what I thought was kind of funny. He says, I want to address the time jumps. Yeah, Ryan handled the jumps very well. Well, he handled them about as well as he could, because time jumps suck. With the exception of like the time jump, I think the 10-year time jump was pretty brutal. The one where we had no explanation of Chris and Cole. I thought that one was done poorly, the change of actors. But like, other than that jump, they did the best they could. And then I want to say, didn't he say he called up Patty Constantine on the phone and said like, you did a great job? Oh, here it is. I thought this was very funny. Incredible cast, particularly Patty Constantine, who portrayed King Viserys. The character he created for the show is so much more powerful and tragic and fully fleshed out than my own version that I'm half tempted to go back. It's like, every character is much more powerful and fully fleshed out than your Fire and Blood version, okay? So, like, that means nothing. Like, every single one of them, because all of your characters in Fire and Blood are bare bone, like, this guy did X and Y and had nothing beyond that, and it's all ambiguous. By the way, Viserys, they really changed him a bit because they made him into such a nice guy. Like King Viserys in Fire and Blood is still also like a brutal king. Like he cuts out people's tongues and shit like that. Like he's not a perfect, and it's implied that he had affairs and like, well, here it actually he states that he has affairs with. They had that one scene where he talked about going to brothels with Daemon, but like, you know,
he tried to have Vaemon's tongue ripped out, but he could barely unsheath the dagger. So
yeah. So I mean, but he's just more of a bastard. Like he supposedly, you know, it's a lot of it's implication, but like he's supposed to drink more. He may have been sleeping with Alicent before they got married.
He did have a lot of parties. Viserys was supposed to have a lot of balls and parties. It's only mentioned in the show that he has it.
He was supposed to be Robert, and in this he's a very different character from Robert. Very, very. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like could you imagine Robert like over and over again, like going up to Stannis and being like, "Hey, you should come back. You know, we're brothers." Like, you know, like, could you imagine Robert and Stannis having that relationship?
I can't. I said this in the podcast and you heard it, but I'll say it here too. I like that George does this. He calls people up because I think he should also do that to Matt Smith. Matt Smith's Daemon is fucking phenomenal.
He's fucking. I mean, look, all of them are phenomenal, like in their own way. Like I can't. There's not an actor on House of the Dragon where I'm like, oh, they're not doing a fucking incredible job. Like, you know, who like. Trying to think of anybody that's just average. Oh, okay. Missaria.
That's not fair. That's low hanging fruit. That's too easy.
It's too easy. But everybody else, like, what am I not supposed to say that like Olivia Cook is like insanely good, or Emma Darcy isn't insanely good, or Will Johnson last episode isn't insanely good. They're all fucking great. You know, even the children are all great. So, what, you know, yeah, Paddy. I think people connect a lot more with Paddy because all the other characters are kind of abysmal. Paddy's not perfect, you know. Viserys isn't perfect, but I think he's good enough that people are gonna like him.